Let's talk about spite, everybody. Spite is something in which one party deliberately does something to negatively influence another party. That is spite. It can be done out of payback or revenge. It can be done simply out of boredom. It can be done whenever and wherever. Spite is a horrible, horrible emotion, but we all deal with it in some form. Now, I personally haven't dealt with any form of spite, me projecting it out into another person. I haven't dealt with that since I was about 8 years old. It's usually something that dies young, because once we learn that an eye for an eye is not the most effective measure, even though it says so in many holy texts, it is not the most effective measure, and as some quote said somewhere, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. Now, lately something has come up in which somebody who I know on the internet is doing something to spite somebody else that I know on the internet. Now, this first person who I mentioned is the one doing the spiting, is the most spiteful person I have ever seen in my life. Do I think negatively of that person because of that? No, not strictly because of that, but it is something that negatively influences me. But let me just cut to the chase here. He's doing something that's harming another person, and he's done this many times before. Why? Why do people do this? Why is it that some people just assume that revenge is necessary? Sometimes revenge isn't necessary. Sometimes you need to let things, as they say, roll off your back. Now, roll with the punches, either or. I do that all the time because I'm very docile. I'm very stoic. Nothing really angers me, even though I come off on the internet like every little minute thing just pisses me off, which in some level it does, and I have little ways to explain myself and why they're annoying. But I never actually get genuinely mad about a lot of things. Maybe once a week. Now, it would be kind of foolish for me to say that if somebody did wrong me, revenge isn't on my mind, because it is. It is. But for me and for a lot of other people, I just disregard it as fantasy. When you have your little fetishes and you fantasize about raping some girl in an alley and it turns you on and you're able to jack off and sleep at night, that's a fantasy. Do you go out and actually live out that fantasy? No, because you disregard it as such. Spite and revenge for me kind of falls into that category. When somebody punches me in the face and calls me a dumb shit and you shouldn't be alive, I usually try and just be like, oh, well, that's unfortunate. Of course, it is on my mind to stab the motherfucker in the chest, but I don't do it because it's fantasy, and I would be the repercussions of that would be much more dangerous than I initially perceived. Now, I actually do trust a lot of people. I trust people on the internet way more than I possibly should. I trust people with my account information. I trust people with, occasionally a few people with my personal information. I trust, a variety of people with a variety of different things. Maybe it's just been luck thus far that nobody's screwed me over and taken the hammer to the things that I've given them. Because, I've bought people things, too. I've bought people things with, the promise that they'll pay me back, and they do. So maybe I've just been lucky. But if somebody did ever fuck me over, I don't think revenge would be on my mind, explicitly. I mean, when I got my account suspended due to one guy flagging my videos for, copyright, all day, all I thought was, man, wouldn't it be cool, because I know where he lives now, wouldn't it be cool if I lived there, and I just beat the shit out of him, and all these horrible, horrible thoughts that I would never, carry out in real life. Once again, I just disregarded that as fantasy, and I didn't even pursue anything else other than just getting my account back and living my life as usual. He could have easily, flagged me again, but he didn't, because I didn't do anything back to cause another eye for an eye moment. If I filed some form that, reported him for doing illegal activity on the internet and he got arrested and got, a few months in jail, he would probably come back with a vengeance and do something, twice as horrible to me that I ever could do to him. So, it's just a never-ending circle jerk of revenge, and I don't take part in that circle jerk. And even when I broke up with my girlfriend, my only girlfriend, don't ask me to tell you the story because I do it every goddamn time I'm in blog TV. When I broke up with her, which is something that she wasn't okay with, she was like, "Well, why? Why does this blah blah blah?" She was not okay with that. She didn't want me to break up with her because she thought everything was cool, but it wasn't because I was leaving. I'll I can't tell this in full context without telling the actual story, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to say that she didn't seek revenge on me, even though I'm certain it was on her mind. She wanted to pay me back somehow, but she didn't. She just kind of kept going on with her life, and she said, "Oh, we'll be friends," but we weren't anymore. I didn't see her after a week, so we weren't friends anymore. But that's just some passive little transgression against me. She probably didn't want to see me anymore, and that's fine because that didn't harm me in any way. It made me feel a little bit sad for like a day, like, oh, she doesn't want to see me anymore. Oh well. But why seek revenge on people when guys break up with girls and girls break up with guys? The person who always gets broke up on always wants to do something back, for hurting me. You hurt me. No, you didn't fucking hurt that person at all. You know what happened? They called it off. That's not hurting you at all. That's unfortunate for the short term. That's all it is. God damn it. Learn to deal with your fucking emotions, people. Jesus Christ.